Okay, so we are live now. I don't know if we still need to introduce ourselves. I don't know if that was just for the first thing. I don't really know. But we can just do it again.
Yeah. Hey, Martha.
Okay. Okay, so I'm Melissa Cordier.
How do I get more?
My name is Vanessa Martin.
I'm Madison Adams.
Okay. So, now I can hear you. Holy cow, this is getting good. And I'm Terry Huggins from Utah South in Gilbert, Arizona.
Perfect.
All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first question is, what were your impressions of the CRC article and video by the United Nations?
Well, that's a lot of stuff. You know what? I keep saying I need to quit talking so much. Okay, I'm going to be quiet for a minute. Here, I'll start. Oh, there's my daughter just walked in. I'm on a class. Thanks. Here, I'll get us started a little bit. Isn't it interesting how Satan kind of gives us a little bit of truth so then he can get all the rest of his stuff in? How's that for an opening statement?
I like that.
Wasn't one of the questions like, why is the UN doing what they're doing? Did anybody see that question somewhere? Or did I just make that up myself?
No, I'm sure you saw. I don't remember that one.
Okay. Well, the interesting thing is there are some really important key things that they're trying to do that would be really smart in some of these, especially underdeveloped countries. And so 20 years ago, or 1990, so even more than that, 26 years ago, those were things that were really important. And I remember reading them and going, yeah, this is what we have to do to protect people and so forth. But the reality is that all these other things are hidden behind it that people don't even know about, including me, until we started learning about it today. So I guess I got to become more of an advocate and start finding out what's going on in the world, because we are the only country, right? There's 193 countries, and the U.S. is the only one who doesn't.
I think there is one other.
Any idea
Somalia.
who it was? Who?
Yeah, the U.S. and Somalia, the CRC hasn't been ratified yet.
Somalia, huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's interesting. But go ahead. I'll be quiet.
Oh no, I was gonna agree with you. Your opening statement. I found it really interesting because the lady, I believe her last name was Haugen, something like that. I can't remember, but she was from the United Nations, or she worked with the United Nations. But she said somewhere that it looks really good when you first look at it, but that it starts off white and then it goes from gray to black to like even the deepest shade of black or whatever. And it was kind of interesting because when I first looked at the CRC, I believe that's what it's called, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I don't understand why this is such like a negative, bad thing. But then she mentioned how it's actually really bad if you look more into it and stuff like that, and it kind of just goes along with what Terry said about how Satan, how he kind of just pulls us in and draws us in. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That statement, by the way, the purest white to gray to darkest black.
Yeah.
And it's an inch at a time. I think that's President Kimball, and then she was quoting him and talking about that, and then referring it. Just for what it's worth, I think that was President Spencer W. Kimball that made that. Does that sound right to anybody?
No, that's correct. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for correcting.
Okay. No, I don't mean to correct you on that. He was my prophet when I joined the church. So I always like to bring him up as any chance I get. Sorry about that. I'm just having fun. Okay.
No, you're good.
I would have to agree with Vanessa as well. I think, like, at first people think, oh, it's a great thing, but they don't look into it, and then like Satan just kind of like grabs hold of him, like what Terry was saying at the beginning, like it's just little things. And so I don't know, I feel like I need to do my research on things. Like after I was like, oh yeah, okay, I need to be like what Terry was saying. I need to be more informed about this. So yeah, that's what I
Quite
was.
scary, huh?
It
Hey,
is scary.
did anybody read the 20 things you need to know about the CRC? Did you see that on maybe one of the last pages?
Mhm.
I saw it, but I just glanced over. I didn't read
Yeah, I don't
it.
know if I read that.
Okay. Well, that should be all you have to just scare the heck out of you, because it is completely this is just really bad stuff. And so isn't it interesting that the family proclamation came out about just before that, going, okay, there are forces at work here in the world. So anyway, that was an interesting one. One more thing about that is this idea that ratification and acceptance. That at 1990 there were 20 countries and now there's 193. And then somewhere else it said even 196, but literally judges of the Supreme Court have taken some of this information and they call it universal law. They go, and that's kind of interesting. I just want to point that they say it's universal law. Well, actually, the only real law is the law that God gives us. That's what's universal, and it never changes. So anyway, but of course we're seeing in the last 10 years or so, it's really gotten crazy. In fact, what did the lady say? Her name was Kelly. I can't say her last name right, but I made a note here. She said something about it, maybe even the next 5 years, it's going to become really, she said 10 to 5, and then she laughed and she goes, probably 5. Well, I think that presentation was about 5 years ago. Did anybody think that might have been like 5 years ago?
It was in 2012, so.
Oh, okay. So that's almost 5 years. That's 4. And she said it's going to get really crazy in about 10 to 5 years, and then she said probably 5. Police officers always get the quotes. They always get a quote, and you go, okay, here's a quote. Anyway, that's what she said.
That's interesting.
And then the next question just says, what about the article and the videos by parental rights? I think just like what were our impressions about it again.
About the videos?
Yeah, it says about the article and the videos by parental rights.
Yeah, I see. Never mind.
That was the two ladies talking, right?
Yeah.
It's down in Arizona, in fact.
Yeah, the two ladies, and then that video about the CRC. Oh, I see. Never mind. Never mind. Forget I said anything. Forget that.
Well, it made me aware that they were talking about something called Senate Bill 519 in Arizona that's going to come around in November, December. So I haven't had a chance to research that yet and find out if it actually is coming up in November, December, or if that video was quite a bit late. And but again, it was the same thing. If the things that were going to go into effect because of Senate 519, that's pretty hairy stuff.
Because wasn't the video of the parental right, it was just the one that they were talking about how, like, the parents they can have an opinion, but they can't, like, tell their child, right? Is that what that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that kind of shocked me. I was like, oh, wow. I didn't even know this was going on.
Yeah, same here. I thought that was crazy, and how like you can't tell your children that they have to go to church. You can only like suggest it. I don't know. I think that's really sad, because I know, at least for me personally, there were times where I was like, I'm not going to church. Like, I don't want to go. I don't know, woke up late or something like that. And my parents were like, I don't care. You're going to church. And I think if it wasn't for them to always be like, okay, you're going to church. Like, this is it. I wouldn't be as strong in the church as I am now.
Oh yeah.
I think that's sad that if that bill gets passed or whatever, that will be one of the downfalls of it, I guess. I don't know what the right word is for it, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it would get really chaotic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As you become parents, how many ladies do we have? 1, 2, I see. Is there a third? I just can't see.
Yeah, I'm sorry, my picture's not showing.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because you can actually see me this time instead of just the picture. But
I know.
as you become parents and your kids are growing up, I can just tell you that in my 35 years, because I joined the church when I was 25, I'm 60 now. I've never seen, not one time, where a parent acquiesced and said, you know what, you're a teenager now, and if you don't want to go to church anymore, you don't have to. I've never seen that person stay strong in the church.
Right.
They disappear, including a stepdaughter that I have who 2 years ago told her mom I'm not going anymore, and it's not my daughter. So, but literally they're gone at that point. What kid wouldn't say? Of course, I didn't grow up in the church, but anyway, I love going to church. I can't wait for Sunday and going to all the meetings. But I can't imagine that if I was a kid, I'd be going, wait a minute, 3 hours at church?
Yeah.
Killing me here. I'm gonna. Hey, can you give me my rights? Well, it's not free agency. The parents are supposed to make sure they raise their kids right. So anyway, for what it's worth, when your kids get older, it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. There's a lot of rules here that we're dictators. Why? But we are going to do it my way, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just it. Like, when you're a parent, you have stewardship over your children, and it's like this divine plan, and it's that way for a reason. Because when you are a teenager, you weren't fully functioning. Like, you weren't reasoning right. You know, like, it's just your brain hasn't fully developed. It's true. And so, as parents, you have that stewardship over your children for that time, and it's that way so that we can guide our children and help them. And then when they become an adult, they have their stewardship over themselves and stewardship over their own children, and it's a perfect process. But this is like literally taking away the stewardship of the parents, and it's so wrong. And it's giving it up to the government, it's giving it up to the kids themselves, and it's scary.
Can you all laugh at this? And then I think I really can. Can you all laugh at this? But if I gave you reality, and I worked with teenagers for 10 years as a counselor, and I worked with them as a coach. You have some really outstanding teenagers. Maybe you three are probably in that group, and there are some. But by and large, the rest of them, they're dumber than bricks. Anybody laugh? Don't get offended. You're gonna discover that because there's emotions and there's hormones and they haven't been in the world yet. I was at the things last week for the graduations, and they said, when we leave college and we go out in the real world, and I'm going, yeah, when you go out and get a paid, Anyway, we would tell you that us older guys and high priests, we're usually laughing pretty hard about the things that we hear the teenagers doing. Everybody laugh at that. Don't be offended, though. You'll be there someday, too, but you just won't be high priest.
I thought it was interesting, too, how that Kelly lady, she was saying that most of the countries, most of the delegates there, they just didn't understand the wording and they didn't understand the implications. And, like, us, too, like, watching the video, it sounds great, and we don't understand the implications until we actually look into it further, until we read further that, oh, this is what it actually implies. This is what can actually occur as a result from this. And so I love that the United Families, that they were kind of talking to the delegates, and they came up with this list of words and they spelled out the implications for them. And it's super important that we do that in our communities and stuff, because then we're voting for something that we think is good, but then it ends up being so evil, and Satan's so good at that, at wording things to appear good, but really they're evil.
Yeah. I think it's also putting I don't know if you'd say the blame on us, but it's causing us to do more action rather than just sitting there and kind of being spoon-fed. If the government or anyone says, yeah, this is what I want you to sign or whatever, and we're just like, okay, and we sign away. We're signing away our rights. We really need to be more proactive on pretty much everything that we do. So I like that. Thanks for sharing that, Madison.
Hey, that's awesome. But for 35 years, I just went, you know what? My job is to try to help baptize people because that's my circle of influence. And holy cow, you girls are sitting here, you're young and you're in college, and you're going, yeah, I got to get out there and help change the world. And I never thought that. I thought, well, what did they say? One person really can make a difference. And I was always sitting there going, no, you don't. You don't make a difference, but you do if you can bring him the gospel. And here I'm going, crud, now I'm 60. I'm going to have to start being out there as a political activist or something. This is getting crazy. I don't want to do it. I don't want to, but I'm going to have to because I've got kids.
I think, we know that we're held accountable in the end for the gospel knowledge that we have and the opportunities that we have to share it, and when we do and we don't. And I think the same applies to this. We're going to be held accountable for what we can do and what we don't do when we have that opportunity. And it's so important for us to pick a side and to not stay in the gray area, because we really can't. Just like we couldn't in the war in heaven, that we can't now. We can't stay in the gray area by not picking a side. We are picking a side, and so we need to actively be fighting for the family and for everything that is good and right. And the family is the center of the plan of happiness. So by actively fighting for the family, we're still actively fighting for the plan of happiness.
I agree.
Did anybody find it? Hopefully, we're even answering the questions that we're doing some of these. But the opposition is bartering and using bribery because they have so much money. That whole concept is just what's amazing. That's our American political system anymore, and it's just who has how much money and who's going to back the person with the money. So that was really incredible. I don't know if anybody, you know what, are you all looking at your computer, and are you able to type in things too, so there's little comments coming across your computer when you're not talking? Because I've done that before on something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you just go, hey, agreed, or, hey, how about this thought? Anyway, if anybody wants to take a note, today I was reading Acts, the Acts of the Apostles in the New Testament, in chapter 8, verses 20 and 21. After you get off, if you want to have fun, just look up Acts 8, 20 and 21. And it's about the Apostle Paul when he was still Saul and right before he had his vision. So, and it's pretty interesting about the money, but the amount of money involved and how that works and how politics works. And here, this is what this is all about with this CRC, right? Yeah, that's what it's called. Anyway, wow.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's perfect. I was just wondering if everyone else had anything to say. I don't want to cut anyone off. So it's if you are from or have ever lived in a country where the CRC has already been ratified, what are some of the positive and negative effects you have observed as a result? If you are from the U.S. or Somalia, where the CRC has not yet been ratified, then research another country to document the positive and negative effects and relate how they could benefit or hurt your country with a future CRC ratification.
Hey, one quick thought. Sorry, go ahead. My fault.
No, you're go ahead. Go ahead.
This is a quick thought, and then I'll be quiet and listen in. Remember that all these things are talked about, and that was a real key. They're always talked about. These are really great. They're really great ideas, like that children shouldn't be working or they shouldn't be pressed into war, etc. But there's no infrastructures in place to make that happen in most of these countries. Okay. So in other words, the very first question, that's a real key. Has it had an effect? Not really. It's all in writing. It sounds good, but it doesn't mean anything. There's nothing in effect to make those things happen. By the way, so remember, whoever's got the money rules, and that's what happens in those countries. So there. I interrupted, but I'm done.
So I did not do any research on another country that has the CRC in effect. Did any of you guys research anything?
To be honest, I didn't do it either. I didn't know until I read that.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I can answer for that question that I just gave you. Is that those things are there, and they claim to follow them, but if you do an overall thing over all the countries in the world, they're not actually doing these things. There's very few that are doing them. They're just it says it, but it's not done, and nobody cares what people say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Kelly lady even mentioned that, didn't she?
That came from one of the other sources. I can't remember for sure which one, but she may have said it too. But I know it came from somewhere else when I heard it.
Yeah, they said that they said that they're doing it, but in reality, very few very few people or countries are actually taking over and doing that CRC. Sorry, guys, I've got a little bit of a cough.
No, you're fine. Madison, did you look it up or anything?
No, I didn't. But I was trying to remember because I know that she mentioned something in her about it. But like I think didn't she say something about how there would be like the parents would be required to work, the moms would be required to work, and they wouldn't be allowed to stay home with their kids, and so all the kids would have to go to a government-approved daycare. And I thought that was really interesting because I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I am one right now, and I want to homeschool my kids and everything. But like with that wouldn't make that possible. I wouldn't be able to homeschool my kids. I wouldn't be able to stay at home with them. I'd have to completely trust them to the government and for most of their care during the day, and that just really scares me.
Yeah, and they said that they're doing it to empower women. Isn't that what they were saying? Or she mentioned something along those lines?
Empower the women so they aren't oppressed by staying at home, and also empower the children because children, if they have a stay-at-home mom, they're being oppressed by that mom because that's their main social interaction, and like that's just a really
it's so backwards. Yeah.
Sorry guys, I have to run and grab my charger. I'll be right back.
You're fine.
No, you're good.
You're about to die.
Just keep in mind that you're saying that that's so backwards, and it is. But remember, when the Mormons or even the conservative people are trying to bring up a point, they're getting booed, stuff thrown at them. Remember, they're saying it can be extremely intimidating because we're the minority. We are definitely the minority.
Yeah.
I guess when Madison was talking, I think I was just thinking about like how much control that would be, like how much control they would have, like with telling that the moms couldn't, I don't know, stay at home with their kids. Like I was like, holy smoke, that's a lot of control they have on us. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, that's just what made me think of it.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to be teaching you what you want your kids taught.
Right, exactly. Okay, so we'll move on. It just says, how did Kelly's presentation help your understanding of the ecological approach to family advocacy?
It helped me to understand that we all play an important part in the system, whether it be a big or small part. All of us make a difference, and we all have to work together in order to make that difference. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, Vanessa, and I think also I learned it helped me just understand like everything. Oh, I can't even think of the word. Like it like bounces off each other. Like when one thing's happen, it like affects that other system, like the logical system, whatever we were learning about. And so I don't know, that's what I learned. Like it just all of them affect each other. So
yeah,
that's true. It helped me understand that in the fight for the family, the odds are kind of stacked against us. Like we're kind of losing, and so we need to do all that we can to keep the fight going.
Oh yeah.
I definitely agree.
Terry, did you have anything to add?
I think I've been adding too much.
No,
you're great.
I concur. She's actually saying, guess what? We need to. All it takes is for good men to do nothing. So I was very impressed with that aspect of it, and that's what I think you girls are saying. So I agree with you.
Okay, sounds
that was that for 30 seconds.
Okay, so the next question is just what system or level do you personally feel would be the most difficult to advocate? and why?
I honestly, mine would probably have to be the macro system within like the government level. I think
Oh,
it's like super intimidating for me. I don't know. I think it's easier to work on a smaller scale, more on the macro level with like immediate family and the meso system, with like extended family and schools and stuff like that. I feel like I could easily make a difference there, but the macro system, I know I feel like that'd be a lot harder. You'd have more power, but I feel like it would be a lot harder to make a difference, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I think I probably would have to agree. I think like, yeah, it's just like a bigger scale, and there's
Yeah.
like a lot of opinions, and I think it's just harder to, yeah, I think I would struggle in that one too.
Yeah.
Well, and isn't the reason she was able to do it at such a level, I mean, one of the reasons, I think might be because her husband's a doctor. So she's got the backing of some money, or at least initially. And that also will affect it. You know, how much money do you have where you can reach there? I've been to the UN. I never had anything else to do with it and to look at it and go, this is pretty worthless.
Yeah, with politics, it's all about money. How much money definitely determines how much influence you have, and it's hard to get your voice heard unless you're actually a prominent person in politics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's true.
And
Okay.
most people that are involved in that do have money. So
Right, it's true.
yeah, that's how they start. That's how they get there. But not all of them, but most.
Yeah, you look at the presidential campaign and just how much money is put into those. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And that's only what you're seeing publicly. That's not behind the scenes.
That's true.
Okay, so we can just go to the last question. It just says, what system or level do you personally feel is the most important to advocate, and why?
I think the most important is the microsystem. I think it's super duper important to start within your home. I mean, even the church says that as well. That's our main focus, should be within our home, and then we should go out from there. If we have a solid foundation within our home, and especially with our other like family members, and we teach them correctly, it'll be easier for us to reach out and to affect other people. So.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think like the microsystem, those are the things that we're closest to, and so they're going to impact us the most. So if we don't start there, I mean, everything else I feel like might fall apart.
Yeah, then we're abandoning the whole, pretty much the whole point of what we're advocating for. I mean, if we're losing our family in the process of trying to make a difference in everyone else's lives, I mean, what's the point of that? At that time, our focus is off.
Right.
That's a really good point. I agree with you 100%.
When you're talking about the church, so I'll throw a couple more things in real quick. By the way, did you see the little part about how she got involved because of a young lady that went missing named Mikkel Biggs?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You may or may not, this was quite a while ago. Well, Mikkel Biggs, I was a Mesa police officer when she went missing. And to this day, we absolutely have no idea, and that almost never happens. Usually you can figure something out. We have no idea what happened to her. She was out riding her bike, and then she was gone and has never been seen again. I actually knew her father. We played basketball together and stuff. He was actually one of our prime suspects. He may still be to this day, but anyway, I wasn't a detective working on the case, but my friends that were detectives on the case, they still have sleepless nights. This is 20 plus years later, that the fact that little girl is missing and gone. So anyway, just on a side note, kind of familiar with that case pretty strongly. I wanted just a little thing to wrap up of what you were saying about how we have an influence in the church, etc. Wasn't it incredible when she said that when they're talking, that hearts melt, and there's a different spirit than those the other ladies. You know, if you've ever been around them, man, it's crazy because they're angry and they're wanting blood, and we deserve it, and they forget the facts. I mean, just throw out whatever you want. And anyway, when she says when the Latter-day Saints are speaking, the hearts melt, there's a different spirit than those other women. Hearts are softened. And I just made a little note and said, remember, I read the book many, 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 many times, and hopefully I've been living it. But we win. We get to win in the end.
That's true.
Okay, so does someone just want to do the 2-minute, wrap up? Basically just go over what we went over this whole time, and then we can end. We'll be good. Does anyone want to do that?
Well, that was part of what I just was sharing anyway. Is the really cool thing is that one person does make a difference, and it is important that we do stand. My kids say I stand up for everything. Well, I've never stood up outside of my home and small circle of influence, but it is important to note that, remember, we want to do things honorably and with the spirit, and hearts melt. I can just picture that when a Latter-day Saint gets up and just shares softly her thoughts after somebody's been going crazy, and they do go crazy in those meetings. So that would be just the part for me, and the importance of knowing that what the CRC is about now. Holy cow, now I'm going to have to get involved in this too. But I think you young people will carry the torch for us old guys, so we don't have to. Anyway, that was 2 minutes from me.
I think that was good, Terry. Yeah, you pretty much covered the first question. The CRC, we need to learn more about it. The second question, we talked about. Well, I guess we didn't really have any information about the second question.
Yeah, we didn't. We talked about the parental rights and how that would just be kind of a little crazy. It just, I don't know. It would just be, they would have a lot of control over us, and it wouldn't let us basically do the things that we wanted to do. Like, we want to be, some of us want to be stay-at-home moms, some of us, we wouldn't be able to teach our kids what we wanted to teach them, kind of thing. But yeah, that other question we didn't really talk about.
Yeah.
We talked about CRC ratification, but yeah.
We said that the most important level or system was in the home, so the microsystem, and how it's important to have a solid foundation there, and that we can make the most difference within our home. And we talked about how the most difficult system to work within would be the macro system on a more national level, and that you have to have pretty much money or clout to actually, I guess, make a difference, or to be seen or heard.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. So is everyone good to end?
Yeah.
Okay.
She